I'm Wayne Goode, District 77 Public Relations Manager. Today I'm talking to Dennis Wooldridge, International Director from Region 8. Dennis, we're glad to have you coming to our spring conference.
Well, thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
To help the people in our district learn a little bit more about you, I have a few questions for you. First, why did you join Toastmasters?
My reasons were a little different than most people's, actually. I've never had a fear of public speaking. It's always been kind of something I enjoyed doing. And I worked in the television industry for most of my career, at least mass media, newspaper, radio, TV. Spent the last several decades actually working in television. And the industry was changing in ways that I just wasn't comfortable with. And so I decided I wanted to start my own business. And what more naturally for someone who's in Toastmasters and someone who enjoys public speaking than to get into some kind of training or public speaking or keynotes or something like that. And I decided it had been a while since I'd actually been able to practice the skills, so I needed a place to practice, and therefore I joined Toastmasters. I've been to a Toastmasters meeting back in the 70s, quite frankly, and a friend of mine's dad had invited me when I was a teenager, and I went, and quite frankly, it scared me to death. It was very rigorous and very, straightforward, and had lots of rules that you had to abide by, and that's just not me. So I said I'd never be back in a Toastmasters meeting ever. But when I went back, I found out that, well, every club is a little different, and the things had evolved within Toastmasters a little bit, and I really had a grand time and enjoyed it. Went obviously way beyond my original idea of being in for a couple of years and practicing my public speaking, got involved in the leadership side, enjoyed that, and here I am.
You've been in many levels of Toastmasters leadership, club officer, district officer, now an international director. What's the most important thing you've learned as a Toastmaster?
I think, as far as from the perspective of being a Toastmaster, I think the thing that has really come home to me is that you have to have an appreciation for the individual. That we're all a little bit different. We all come into Toastmasters with different goals. I've often said that there are as many reasons for people walking into a Toastmasters meeting and joining as there are people who walk into a Toastmasters meeting and join. Sometimes those are similar. Sometimes they're extremely different, as in my case. So I think that as a leader, you have to understand that it's not a cookie cutter process, that it really is a program that can be designed, if you will, by the club around the individual, helping them to achieve the goals that they have. And I think that process has helped me to understand, or that idea has helped me to understand the process from the time that I became the VP PR for my local club about 4 months after I joined Toastmasters to today when I sit on the board.
You mentioned your career is one of the reasons you joined Toastmasters. How has Toastmasters affected your career?
Well, obviously, it has kind of changed the direction that I had in mind when I joined Toastmasters. I didn't realize it had any kind of leadership opportunities. I've been involved in some level of leadership since I was in the United States Navy back in the 70s. And it really caught my attention, the idea of being able to be in an organization, to serve the members of that organization by being a leader and learning more about leadership. And quite frankly, I've learned a lot more about leadership in Toastmasters than I have the rest of my life combined. But as I said, my original goal for joining Toastmasters was simply to start a business where I could utilize my skills as a public speaker. And it's really changed direction in now that it's been more leadership. Actually, the things that I speak about and I train on has also changed, because I originally was going to work in the area of presentation skills, and I've since moved into the area of change management and leadership development. So it's had a tremendous effect on my life.
I mentioned that you're an international director. What are the responsibilities of an international director?
Well, basically, our responsibilities are the strategic planning of the organization, trying to figure out exactly where we want this organization to be in 5, 15, 25 years from now, and trying to develop strategies and operational executions that get us to those points. It's kind of interesting. I'm in my little less than the last 6 months of my term as an international director. So I look back over the last year and a half, and I've come to realize that that's basically what the job entails on paper. But the truth of the matter is your board turns over completely every 2 years, so that the strategies that you put into place need to be strategies that can be developed and understood by anyone who takes a position on the board. It's very important to have that kind of continuity go on. So the things that we work on are not minor issues. The things that we work on are really major developments within the board of directors. It's been my pleasure to be on the board when we developed the new strategic plan for the next 5 years. And I think it's a great plan. It's very simple. Our goals are very simple. Now, how we get to those goals sometimes is not very simple. But we have basically really focused on the organization and the individuals that we service within the organization. Our original 5-year plan was very large. It had a lot of lofty goals. And quite frankly, a lot of those haven't been reached yet. But ours is more focused. And I'm really pleased to have been a part of that, because I think the actual work that we did as a board is going to stretch and be felt for years to come. I think that that's what you're really supposed to do as a member of the board of directors, as an international director. And it also, you have the opportunity to work with and visit with the districts within your region. Region 8, which I'm elected from. Now, some people say I represent Region 8. That's not exactly right, because once you're on the board, I represent the entire world of Toastmasters. But I'm from Region 8, and Region 8 has 9 different districts in it, District 77 being one of those. And I've had the opportunity to visit each of those districts, to spend time with the leaders in those districts, to work with those folks to try and make things better for them so that they can make things better for their membership. And it has been a really an education in the last 2 years. It's been a joy. And as with most things in Toastmasters, I feel like I've accomplished something, and I've also made friendships that are going to last me the rest of my life.
Since you spent several years in district leadership, what advice would you offer the next generation of district leaders?
I think the best advice that I can give anyone in district leadership, no matter whether they're an area governor all the way up through, an area director. I'm part of the old school, so I'm still trying to get used to the new titles. Through the district director, is to focus, number one, on the members. What is it that you're doing as a district that is going to benefit the clubs and the members within your district? And second of all is to focus on those core values. Toastmasters has developed a system of 4 core values. That's integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And I think that if we focus on those 4 items, and everything that we do, we try to make sure that we're covered by those 4 core values, we can't really do anything wrong. So if you look at what you're doing as a district and as a district leader at no matter what level, and this is true for club leaders as well, that if you focus on making sure that each item that you do, everything that you do during your tenure as a servant leader, is fulfilling those 4 core values, you can't really go wrong. And I think you'll find that your district and your club will flourish.
International Director Dennis Wooldridge. Thanks, Dennis, for taking time out to talk to us today, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the spring conference.
Okay, Wayne, thanks so much. It was a pleasure.